And with this, now we are starting up with the next panel. And this panel is going to have a very knowledgeable, versatile speakers. We have the topic, the human brand. How people, purpose, and culture drive business growth. This session will be moderated by very stunning L.A. Roberts. Please put your hands together for L.A. Roberts from USA, founder and CEO, I Inspire Global. She is a full-time international best-selling author, transformational speaker, and executive consultant whose work sits at the intersection of leadership, healing, and global impact. With more than 15 plus years of experience as a fintech corporate leader, breakthrough strategist, and a content creator, she is the founder and CEO of I Inspire Global. Well, LA, how are you feeling right now? We met again. So I already know LA. We met at Hong Kong. And she's too good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce the panelists. We have Dr. Petrice M. McKinsey. McKey-Reese. Can we have Dr. Petrice, please? Dr. Petrice McKey-Reese from USA Chief Foreign Office for Mama Steve's Vision LLC. She is dedicated her 20 years of honorable service to the United States Army. Enlisting as a parachute rigger, she rose through the ranks to become the first African American woman to serve as the 921A airdrop systems technician. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Dr. McKey-Reese. Up next, we have Noelene Kotschan. She is the founder and CEO of Pink Drive, NPC, established in 2009 on the belief that early detection will help prolong a life. With over 30 years of experience in marketing and events, including work at Petrice and her own agency, Social Loza Marketing, Noelene shifted to health advocacy after losing a loved one to cancer. Well, Noelene, you are inspiring many. You are creating awareness about cancer. Can we have resounding applause one more time for Noelene? And ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Shawn Fair, and also the proud partner of the Fluxx Conference Asia Leadership Experience Tour. He has built a reputation as one of the most influential voices in leadership and management training. As a country's leading trainer and a speaker in the field, Shawn has transformed the career of leaders and managers from Fortune 500 companies, equipping them with the tools to inspire, motivate, and to lead with confidence. His ability to connect with the audience and provide actionable strategies has made him sought after and figure in corporate circles. Well, amazing. Well, now you have to give me the adjective for the panel today. What does the panel look like? Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay, I'll give you the word. You have to give me the adjectives like we did yesterday. So this time, quite difficult. Right? R. Give me an adjective from R. What does the panel look like? R. R is the alphabet. Oh my God, regal. Only Tish has a wonderful vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen. So R, any adjective coming from R? No adjectives coming. Sorry, LA.
That's okay. I have some. You ready?
Yes.
Beautiful, amazing, brilliant, loving, kind.
Hey,
right.
that's LA for you.
Smart, brilliant.
Tell a moderator. Tell a moderator.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the panel. You can see the full of leaders sitting on the stage. Please put your hands together for the panelists one more time, and our moderator, L.A. Roberts.
How's everybody doing? Let's try that one more time. How is everybody doing? All right, thank you so much. Let me first introduce myself. My name is L.A. Roberts. I am the founder of I Inspire Global, where ordinary people with extraordinary stories change the world. I am also the radio personality of WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Can y'all tell? So listen, I am blessed to be in front of you today, and I am going to let my amazing panelists tell you exactly who they are, and we're going to start with Dr. Petrice.
Good evening, or good afternoon, and thank you, LA. So, I am Dr. Petrice McKey-Reese, CW4 retired with over 30 years of active duty service. I am also the founder and CEO of Mama T's Vision, where I empower women that want to start their own businesses. When you empower a woman, you empower a generation to leave a legacy behind. Thank you, LA.
Absolutely. And next, we have the beautiful Noelene.
Thank you, LA. My name is Noelene Kotschan. I'm the CEO and founder of Pink Drive in South Africa. We have built the first mobile cancer screening trucks, and we provide a free service to all the medically uninsured in South Africa. That means 84% of our country are uninsured. Cancer is not a death sentence if it's detected early. Thank you.
Very, very important work. And next, none other than the phenomenal Dr. Shawn Fair.
My name is Shawn Fair. I'm the founder of the Leadership Experience Tour. It is the #1 platform for speaker, coaches, and entrepreneurs in the United States. And we specialize in putting speaker and coaches and businesses that are looking to expose themselves at the highest level on big stages so that they can sell their product and services to a target audience. We put people on the news, and we also market them in a way that they can otherwise market themselves. And that is one part of what I do. The second part is I work with executive leadership and mid-level managers in Fortune 500 companies, and I teach servant leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Fair. So we're going to start with you, Mr. Fair. You ready?
Shoot.
What does the human brand mean to you, and why is it important in today's business landscape?
The human brand is definitely important. Most companies are focused in on the product and the service that they provide, but they're not focused in on the people that actually represent the product. And I'll give you guys a perfect example. I want to put organizations on the spot, but I'm a meat and potatoes guy. My palate is not too large, it's not too long. And so when I'm here, I'm looking for something that I enjoy eating, and there are two brands that are very recognizable to me in the building, and that's Texas Roadhouse, which I eat there quite a bit in the United States, and TGI Fridays, right? I'm very familiar with those two brands. I've eaten there many of times, and for the most part, I enjoy some basic food there, like steaks, ribs, potatoes, and things of that nature, and generally I have a pretty good time. But the question is the people that serve the food, how are they? And I can tell you yesterday I had a nice steak and it tastes wonderful, but I ordered the steak medium well. They brought it out medium rare. I let them know about it, and so they took it back and they put it back on the grill. And when they brought it back, what do you think the steak was? It was medium rare. So it was like they didn't put it back on the grill. And so at that point, I didn't want the food anymore. And so I asked them to do what? Take it off the bill. But they looked at me like I was crazy because I wanted it off the bill after they've messed up the steak 2 times. So when we talk about branding, it's not just about the product. It's about the people that actually serve the product. And if they don't represent the product well, no matter how good the product is, it becomes a bad product. And so companies need to invest in the employees who represent the brand. And the employees and the brand must line up with one another.
Thank you, thank you. How many of us have been at a restaurant and their food has been messed up? Raise your hand. How many of us went back to that same restaurant? So, you're like, me? So really, what happens is if the people that are representing the brand don't represent it correctly, then they lose business, which in turn you lose money. And who likes to lose money? Nobody's hand went up. See, we're on the same page, okay? So I'm gonna ask you the same question, Noelene. What does the human brand mean to you?
Most importantly is that we put the people and those that we serve first. We must show them care, empathy, and connection in everything that we do. Cancer is such a daunting topic, a disease, that if you are not caring, how can you actually deliver a service to those who probably have never experienced anyone giving them care when diagnosed with the disease?
Yes, yes. Ladies, how many of us, hopefully everybody will raise their hand, has had the wonderful mammogram? How many of us love to have the wonderful mammogram? Nobody? Sir, I'm pretty sure you did not have a mammogram. Not and love it, okay? So it's going to be important when you walk into that room, when they tell you, what do they say? Raise your hand up, grab the bar, lean to the front while they smash you like a pancake. Ain't that how it happens, Shavonna? Would you prefer someone that is empathetic, someone who's kind, someone who's loving, or someone who's rough and gruff? Which one? Loving, empathetic, right? So I applaud you for offering your mobile clinic because I'm pretty positive that the people that are on your service are empathetic and they're loving and they're kind. Am I right?
Correct.
I know it. Dr. Petrice, what does the human brand mean to you?
So the human brand means almost the same thing, and it starts with my business name, Mama T's Vision. That came from my mother. Her name was Theodora, but to all of her grandchildren and nieces and nephews, she was known as Mama T. And as my biggest supporter, being a teenage mom, that's where the vision started with. And that alone lets you know that you're connected to the people that you want to help. Letting them know that there's a story behind the name, and I understand the journey that you're on or that you want to go on because I have a story of my own. And in human branding, you have to be able to connect with people to let them know that you understand where they're at and where they're trying to get. And you can bring those together with the empathy that you're talking about and caring and loving. And a lot of times with human branding, as long as people know that you're walking the same path they walk, they're going to trust you because you want that trust and that integrity there so that people know that you truly do care because you're leading by example and they know that you've been where they've been before. So if there's integrity there and you're leading by example, that human branding is there.
So what I'm hearing you say is it's important to understand the heartbeat behind the brand.
Absolutely, the heartbeat behind the brand, absolutely.
I think that's beautiful. To know the heartbeat behind the brand makes you trust them more. Everybody in here either has a business or you're with someone that has a business or you're wanting to have a business. Don't you want your customers to trust you? Don't you want your customers to keep coming back? I know Dr. Shawn Fair is not going back to that TGI Fridays, are you?
No, I won't be back today.
So I'm going to ask another question here, and this time, Noelene, I think I'm going to start with you, and then we'll pass it because I absolutely enjoy hearing everybody's perspectives when it comes to the same questions because we get a little flair from everything. So I'm loving this. Noelene, how can companies effectively communicate their purpose to their employees and customers?
So once again, from a Pink Drive perspective, communicating purpose means that you must make it real. It must be easy to be put across. And how better than to do that in actual fact with storytelling. And that's what we do on a daily basis.
That's really, really good. Dr. Fair, lean in on this particular question because I know you work with a lot of people. And how do you communicate that to your employees as far as what your goals are?
Well, I think it first starts with a company having a defined vision statement. So a vision statement is a realistic and attainable and credible snapshot of the organization's future. And in that vision statement, every employee should be able to see themselves in it. Now, many of the vision statements that I see from organizations are normally 2 or 3 sentences long, and there is no way that you can read that and then see yourself in something so smart, so short, and so short-sighted, right? So it's important that a company spells that out in detail. But when an organization has a vision, it is important that the executives have a vision underneath the company's vision. The mid-level managers, they have a vision underneath the executive's vision, and the employees have their vision underneath the mid-level manager's vision in order for everyone to be aligned. Now, just having a vision by itself is still not enough because there has to be goals underneath the vision, there has to be objectives underneath the goals, and there has to be a mission underneath the objectives, and those 4 components must line up. So let me give you just a quick example. How many of y'all watch football? Anybody watch the NFL? Now, most teams, when they start the season, their vision is to do what? Is to win what? Is to win the Super Bowl. That is their vision. And if you guys don't know it, they generally have some coaches that are going around looking at all the different teams in their division. They report back to the corporate office, and they tell them, based on all the moves that's being made in division, if we win just 10 games, that's going to get us into the playoffs. So the vision is to win the Super Bowl. The 10 games are necessary to get into the playoffs. Those would be considered the goals. Now, if you don't know this, there's something called objectives. Now, before the season starts, they go off to a nice place, maybe the Virgin Islands, and they have summer camp or training camp. Normally, that's about 6 weeks long. And it starts off with the players going into the separate classes, and they're learning all the plays. The running backs are in this class. The cornerbacks are in another class. The offensive lines are there in another class, and they're learning all the plays in the playbook. So they do that for about 3 hours. After that, they go to lunch, and they have a nice meal from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And after 1 o'clock, they let their food digest for 1 hour. Then they go to the field to execute the plays that they learned early that morning. And then they do that all the way to 5 o'clock. And from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, they have dinner. And from 6 to 7, they let their food digest, and they go and practice and lift weights for 2 more hours, and then they have time to just spend some time together, and they go to bed. And they do that every day for 6 weeks. Those are objectives. Those are the things that most players don't enjoy doing, but they have to do it in order to do what? Win the 10 games, right? But in order to be motivated to do that every single day for 6 weeks, you have to have a mission statement. And the mission is the very thing that motivates you to get up every single morning to do the things that you don't want to do, which are the objectives. Now, when the company has those 4 things in line with one another, they'll find that their employees are going to be engaged and represent the product well.
That's good. Were you a football player in your former
No,
life?
I played basketball, but I just thought it'd be a good example.
How many of us have mission statements? Now, how many of us have objectives up underneath that mission statement? Now, if your hand is not up, let this be a motivation. You need to have your objectives so that you can do what it is that you want to do. You want to see your vision come to life, right? You want to actually see it, and it's not going to happen unless you have those goals set out for you. Isn't that right, Shavonna? You got to have those goals. So let's lean in on this, Dr. Petrice. What you think?
Okay, so what I think is that I agree with what my other fellow panelists say, and just to kind of sum it up, it needs to be clear and concise, and you have to lead by example. I'm very big on leading by example. You know, call it the military background in me, you know, my mother's raising, but you have to lead by example. If your employees know that everything is clear and concise, and they see you doing exactly that, then everything is going to fall in line, just as Shawn said. They understand what it is that needs to be done. They see you doing it. It's just going to all line right up because they understand everything is communicated. It's written out plain, clear, and concise. So there will be no problems.
So your military background actually assisted you with pushing forward and getting so precise. Would you say that's correct?
Yes, along with my mother. She was very detailed, and everything was kind of lined up on how she wanted us to do things. So yes.
So Noelene, when we're talking about mission statements and how the objectives are put together, I'm pretty sure you have a mission statement. Would you like to share that with us as far as your mammogram bust? My apologies.
Our mission statement is to ensure that all those who do not have the opportunities or the necessities, e.g. healthcare, in South Africa are never left alone.
That's really good. Did you all hear that? Now, how good is that she's providing that for the people of South Africa so that they can have what they need and they're never alone? That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, I'm going to start with Dr. Petrice.
Okay.
What role does company culture play in driving employee engagement and productivity?
The culture plays a big role. In order for companies, the culture has to be engaged. It needs to start at the top. So for productivity, you have to have an environment where your employees want to come to work and be productive. So if your environment is not, you don't want people just to, oh my God, I got to get up and go to work today. What's going to happen when I get here? That's not what you want. You want people to get up and be excited about coming to work. So you got to have a culture that's pleasing, that's refreshing, that people enjoy coming to work for you. You want that environment where people are excited to come to work. Because if they're not excited about coming to work, you ain't gonna get no production done because people are dreading coming to work. So you gotta make sure that you have that one-on-one with your employees. You know your employees, you have that personal contact. And again, it goes back to the human branding. Because if you have that human branding in your environment, then the culture is there. So you know your employees. So if something is going on with your employee, you can tell when they come into work that something is off with that employee. So you shouldn't have to wait till an employee come to you to say, I'm having a bad day. When they come in and they're not their usual bubbly self, you should be able to go and talk to that employee and say, are you okay today? Is there something I can do for you? Do you need help with something? And I think that's where that leadership comes in at. Every supervisor should be able to tell when their employee is having an off day.
That's absolutely correct. How many of us have worked on toxic jobs? Absolutely awful. You walk in, you upset, and they're upset too? Isn't that bad? How many of us have been on jobs where the leadership actually cared? They asked you how you were feeling, or something happened to a family member, they actually cared about you when they spoke to you, right? That makes a big difference. So, Dr. Shawn, talk to me about what that means to you in that way, how important that is.
It's extremely important because in order for employees to connect with the brand, they need to be under great leadership. So can we just do a quick test on this? How many of you have worked for a leader that leads by example? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you haven't worked for one that leads by example. In other words, they don't ask you to do anything that they're unwilling to do themselves. How many of you guys have been in that situation? How many of you guys have worked for someone that you didn't trust them, right? They never do what they say they're going to do. How many of you have worked for some folks there was no mutual respect? They hired you, but they didn't respect you. How many of you have some folks that when you at work, you go above and beyond the call of duty, but they never give you any recognition for it? How many of you guys have worked for that person? How many of you have worked for an employee or a manager that has no experience in understanding people? In other words, you got a little bit of ADHD, but they don't realize that you have it, but they send you an email with 6 or 7 paragraphs in it expecting you to read it. In other words, you are working for people that don't really care about you and your growth, but they're expecting you to connect to the product of the brand. In order for your employees to do that, they have to be under great leadership. And great leadership is missing in today's organizations, and we wonder why the employees don't really care about the brand or the product. It's because leadership doesn't care about them.
Now that's good. Now, Noelene, I know you care about your people and you are a great leader. Would you like to lean in on this question?
Yeah, I believe in the leading by example. I'm not ashamed of my age. At 74, I'm out in the communities just about every day of my life. That's my purpose, not an office. And that's the culture I've tried to instill in my organization. There are so many cultures in South Africa, different ones, different communities, different religions. And if my people do not fit into recognizing culture and embracing it, then there is no space when you actually do the community work. And it's not just South Africa, it's now beyond our borders as well, because that's where the Pink Drive brand is going, and hopefully, in my lifetime, it will touch the rest of Africa.
Yes, absolutely. Now, let's just stop at a moment when she said she was 74 years old. Did you all hear that? Isn't she a beautiful 74? Let's give it up for Noelene. She is 74 and doing all that she is doing. So let me go to another amazing question. Are you all enjoying this panel? Are you just saying that because I got the mic? Okay, all right, just want to check. Now, Dr. Fair, can you share an example of a brand that successfully embodies the principle of the human brand, and what did they do right?
So how many of you are familiar with the Ritz-Carlton? Okay. So our very first show, which was in Hong Kong with Fluxx, how many guys attended that event? The very first one in Hong Kong. I got a few people that was there. So when you got to the counter to check in, you could tell that the employees were happy. They were smiling, they were inviting, they were friendly. And so as soon as I walked to the counter, not only everything was immaculate and beautiful, but the people were beautiful, and I could tell that they were happy and excited to work for that organization. Not only that, you guys know I'm a foodie, I like to eat. Every morning I went to breakfast and they had cucumber juice, beet juice, kiwi juice, watermelon juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, like every juice that you can possibly think of, they had it, and it was freshly squeezed every single morning, and everything looked like it just came out of the kitchen. It was an absolutely wonderful experience, and I can tell you that I was in there for 2.5 hours, every single day. When I would come into my room, the doors opened, the curtains just opened up, and you can just see the whole city, and the clouds was right there at the window. It was a beautiful experience. And I would go down to the lobby from time to time, and they had employees at every single turn that you can go, there was an employee there. Within 24 hours, they all knew my name. Hey, Mr. Fair, how are you doing today? Is there any way I can help you with? Like every single employee, they knew my name. And a lot of times I'm on my phone, not paying attention to what I'm doing, and I was getting ready to go down the escalator, and I was about to go the wrong way, and the employee came and jumped up in front of me. She almost fell down the escalator herself, right? Because she cared about my safety. And all I'm trying to say to you is that you can tell when employees are excited about the organizations that they work for, because not only do they care about the product, but they also care about the people who's purchasing the product.
That's good. Noelene, what's a brand that you think is doing this well?
Okay, so I did a little bit of research using AI.
All right.
And the brand I came across in the US is Tom's, a global brand in footwear. And they are famous, for the Americans that don't know, for one-for-one model. And that means giving one pair of shoes to someone that doesn't have. So going back to my own country, we've got Woolworths, and I know my colleague here from South Africa will know it. And it's a similar brand. So what they have done, and it's a lot I aspire to what they have done, is they've looked at the environment, they've looked at who's manufacturing, and then they deliver that product in store. So they're very conscious of what happens around them. Equally, we are equally as conscious in the healthcare of what's happening around us, and not just to focus on what your brand is, but to take into account what's happening around you.
That's very important, to take into account what's happening around, because most times when the society changes, you need to know that, right? You need to understand prices, you need to understand the economy, you need to understand when to adjust your prices, when to go up, when to go down, when to do all types of things. I personally am from the US, and there's so many things going on right now, and we have to be cognizant of that, right? We have to make those adjustments. So thank you for that example. I had to come all the way to the Philippines to learn about Tom's. Dr. Petrice?
So I also did some research using AI, as did my fellow panelists here, and I found a company called Patanga, and they make clothes, and they're also environmental friendly. So what they did was use, based off of the economy and the world and what's going on in the world today in the atmosphere, they decided to change how they were making their clothes in order to become more environmental friendly. And their customers really love it, and their employees love it, and they led from the front. So even from the owner, everybody, they wear and they purchase the clothes that they manufacture to not only show that they're concerned, but they believe in the brand and the product that they're making. So they have really set the example in doing that, as well as taking care of the environment. They don't do the plastics anymore and those things, because we do know that the environment, every time we make something or do something, we're taking more from the earth. And today that's very important with everything else going in the world, that we preserve our earth and our atmosphere and what's going on in the world today.
That's very true. I realized something about this hotel as well. When you go into your rooms, they have the glass bottles with the water already filled, and they have the sign that says, you know, they point into the environment and things of that nature. That is very important. And I like that the owners actually wear what it is they sell, because wouldn't it be crazy if they're selling something for the environment and then they don't like it? How much trust would you have in someone that doesn't even use their own product? You wouldn't use it, right? I have an example about that, but I'm not going to put this company on blast. Not today. So let's go on to the next question. In what ways can leaders foster a culture of trust and transparency within their organization? First hand up gets the answer first. Go ahead, Dr. Petrice.
So I think they need to lead by example. In order for you to foster that, I think the first thing you have to do is lead by example. You have to have integrity, and I've said that before. I think you have to have integrity. You know, integrity is very important. You have to do and be what you want your employees to do and be. As Shawn said earlier, you know, you can't ask someone to do something that you would never do. And that was a common term for military people in the room, you know. You can't ask someone in the military to go out and do something that you wouldn't do yourself. So I think that's the way you foster it. You have to have that integrity, that trust there, and it's a two-way street. If I ask you to do something, then you need to know that I will get out there and get down and dirty with you as well. So I should be able to teach you and train you on any product that I have, any service that I have. I should be able to get out there and train you and not have to have someone else come and train you. You know, it's okay to have someone else train you, but I should be able to do it as well. So I believe that everybody should see me being able to do what I ask them to do.
How many of us have been on a job where your manager has absolutely no idea what your job is, but will tell you to do it? And then when you ask for help, can't help you, and they want you to help somebody else do it, right? But they're making all the money and you have to train them. Who? I know I have. Anybody? Okay. Dr. Shawn.
You know, I remember some time ago, I was invited to come and speak in front of a bunch of students along with some other speakers. And it was really funny because they had rented out like 12 to 15 rooms at the Marriott. And when it was time for the conference to start, you guys know how many students showed up? Oh, somebody said 2. That's being generous. And there were supposed to be about 1,000 students at this event. So that means that myself and all of the speakers that were associated with me was sitting there with absolutely nothing to do after we flew in all the way from Detroit and various parts of the country to be a part of this monumental event. Now, as we're sitting there with nothing to do, the owners of the organization, after they kind of pulled themselves together, brought all of the speakers in a room, and they brought all of their team members in that room as well, and they took accountability, right? The owner took accountability right in front of the team members and also in front of us and said that there was a mistake that was made, right? That fosters trust when you, as the leader of the organization, can take accountability when something goes wrong and not blame your other team members or employees for it. Not only did they held themselves accountable, but they also paid for our plane tickets to another event, gave ourselves VIP passes on the New York Jets field, and we did something very special about a month later. So not only did they take accountable, but they also made up for the big mistake, and they showed their employees, you know what, mistakes happen. But when mistakes do happen, we're willing to step up to the plate, take ownership, and then make things right. That's how you foster trust with your team members.
That's really, really good. Transparency is key because nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, right? Who all has made mistakes in the room? Everybody's hand should be up. Noelene?
Well, I concur with both speakers, so I don't have too much to say. I think what's very important is that, yes, we must model integrity. We must admit mistakes and keep commitments, or try and keep commitments. We must communicate openly. On a daily basis, I always invite feedback from my medical team, and I ask them, what did did you see anything different? Did you engage with someone differently? Did they engage with you differently? So that you can look at the positives and possibly even the negatives that come out of that, and just try and make sure that you improve on whatever went wrong or didn't go wrong, but also make sure that you commend them of not being fearful of bringing whatever's gone wrong to you as the leader, and engage with them and not push them aside. And I think you must also recognize fairly, because that celebrates what you're trying to portray, and not necessarily let them think that you are not inhuman, that you're one of them all the time.
That's really, really good. To have a leader that you can come to and admit that you made a mistake, and that they accept you for making that mistake and learn how to pivot. How important is the pivot, Dr. Shawn?
Pivoting is extremely important. How many of you feel a little bit of a pinch in today's economy? Just a little bit. Or you notice that the customers are holding on to their money a little tighter than they would normally do. How many guys have anybody experienced that? How many of you have made an adjustment with your product or your services, right, based on this new environment that we're dealing with? How many guys have made an adjustment, right? Well, that's a part of your brand, is having the ability to adjust and to pivot when your marketplace makes a change, or when your environment makes a change. You have to adjust, and you have to pivot.
Yes, that's good. Dr. Petrice, how important is the pivot?
I agree with what Shawn just said. You have to be able to pivot. If you don't know how to pivot, then your business will probably take a hit. And that's what you don't want to do. So you need to be able to pivot. As things change in the world, things change in the economy, you have to be able to shift with it and pivot. If not, you're going to start to slope off and fail. And that's what you don't want to do. So pivoting is very important.
I call it being flexible and fluid. Being flexible and fluid is important, because you have to learn how to move and be malleable, right? You can't be so rigid and you'll lose money. And then you're going to be mad at yourself because you knew that you were supposed to move, but you thought you knew it all, I don't know if anybody in here thought that they knew it all at one point, but I know I have. Has anybody else? Now, come on. I know. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. How important?
Sometimes we don't want to admit that we lost some money, but at one point in time, all of us have lost some money.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. How important is the pivot?
Extremely important. If I can use an example, when we started out, or when I started out 20 years ago, we were only focused on breast cancer, and it was to take the screening into communities. But the need came to us, not us looking for the need. And working in the communities, the women then came forward and explained their difficulties in getting access to pap smears, which is something that's vitally important in a woman's life. So we added on pap smears for cervical cancer. And then we noticed that the men were starting to become inquisitive, because here was this massive, big, pink branded truck arriving but there wasn't something for them. And so we decided, well, let's start PSA screening for prostate cancer. And over time, we've just added on what the communities need, and they need a lot, but we can also only do so much. So now there's skin cancer screening, there's lung screening, there's TB screening, there's HPV screening, there's HIV screening. So that's how we've pivoted.
That's really, really good. Did you hear all the things that she pivoted with? That's amazing. So listen, I want everyone on the panel to give just a couple of sentences before we end of encouragement to let the people know that their human brand is important. Shawn?
Yeah. Strive for excellence and invest in the people that you have that's in front of the brand and also behind the brand.
Noelene?
Never believe that you cannot do something. As soon as someone tells you you can't do it, prove them wrong. You can do it. That's my experience. I was told, Noelene, we give you 3 months and your truck will never run again. And that's the encouragement I needed. I've proven them wrong in South Africa. We've now got 10 trucks running.
All right.
With no funding from our government at all. So all monies raised, I have done over the years. But I'm grateful to corporate South Africa, other philanthropic organizations, and other international governments for recognizing that if you can, you will, and it will be something that can leave as a legacy for those behind.
Thank you, Dr. Petrice.
What I would like to leave is if you have a dream, make it a reality. If you know someone that has a dream, help them to make their dream become a reality and empower someone else to help them make their dream become a reality.
Thank you. Listen, it has been an amazing pleasure to be your mediator, your moderator, and your mediator today. I am L.A. Roberts, the founder of I Inspire Global, where ordinary people with extraordinary stories change the world. Please remember you are important, you are needed, and you are loved. Thank you.
Come on, everyone, can we resounding applause for the amazing panel? What an amazing panel. Can I have all of you here for the group picture? Ladies and gentlemen, very insightful